And now a word from our sponsors. AlmightyGold.com. Get your gold in affordable quantities. 1 gram, 2.5 grams, 5 grams, no minimum purchase required. Why save in paper when you can save in gold? AlmightyGold.com understands it's difficult to afford gold in large quantities. No one can afford an ounce of gold. This is why Almighty Gold has introduced to you Carat Bars, a most reliable company where you can buy gold in minor quantities from as little as 1/10 of a gram. That's like $6. Each gold bar is inset into the Carat Bar frame, which is a standard credit card size, and it's covered by a safety laminate. It's imprinted with a unique DNA for counterfeit protection and provided with a blacklight authenticity signature on the front. Gold, AlmightyGold.com. They have a cryptocurrency backed in gold, and you can become an affiliate at AlmightyGold.com and make a commission from any gold that is purchased from your affiliate link. It's contact us at AlmightyGold.com. That's their email address. Contact us at AlmightyGold.com. Gold! Have you ever thought about opening your own mobile cart or kiosk business? Maybe add new point-of-sale locations across the country quickly, or bring in revenue by adding coffee, food, or retail services to your office building, warehouse, or lobby? CartKing.com is the answer to your needs. CartKing.com is a North American designer and manufacturer of the finest mobile retail, coffee, food, carts, and kiosks that money can buy. For 20 years, CartKing.com has been working with clients across America to provide indoor and outdoor carts and kiosks for any application. That's www.cart-king.com. Give them a call at 877-986-7771. Tell them Ed Opperman sent you. So you go to the website, CartKing.com, you check out their different designs and models. You pick out which design applies to your business. They'll custom design it for you, custom build it for you, and ship it worldwide. CartKing.com. PureSoapFlakes.com. 218-568-2525. Have you ever heard of Castile Soap? Pure Soap Flake Company handcrafts fine soap bars, laundry powder, and concentrated soap flakes using organic vegetable oils from their northern Minnesota facility. Bathe your body and wash your clothes with Pure Soap products that are free of fragrance, GMOs, palm oil, sodium lauryl sulfate, and synthetic additives. Keep it clean, folks. Pure Soap Flake Company products are kind to living creatures and sensitive skin, safe for drains and waterways, and work great in high-efficiency washers and top and front-loading machines. Order today at PureSoapFlakes.com, greenhome.com, amazon.com, or give them a call, 218-568-2525, 218-568-2525. Pure Soap Flake Company is a proud member of the Handcrafted Soap and Cosmetic Guild.
It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman. It's the Opperman Report. Join digital forensic investigator and PI Ed Opperman for an in-depth discussion of conspiracy theories, strategy of New World Order resistance, high-profile court cases in the news, and interviews with expert guests and authors on these topics and more. It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, well, welcome to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, private investigator Ed Opperman, and you can go to my website, emailrevealer.com, get an autographed copy of my book, How to Become a Successful Private Investigator. Okay, we got a lot of good content this week. I want to welcome all our new listeners on KCAA, AM/FM in California, KYAH 540 AM in Utah, and all of our listeners around the world, People's Internet Radio, IPM Nation, Awake Radio, Public Streaming Network, iHeartRadio, iTunes, people listen on YouTube, Spreaker.com. I had a lot of good content this week. We just have Amy Villela, who's a Nevada congressional candidate, who's in the movie Knock Down the House with Ocasio-Cortez and Cori Bush, and I always keep forgetting the name of that third woman. And we had Johnny Vedmore was on our show this week. Fascinating information. He's not been on our show before. He did some research about Theresa May over there in the UK. So we had him back talking about the Epstein case, as usual, and some Mossad connections to Epstein. Some interesting stuff he brought in there. It hasn't been revealed before. I have Casey Gain McGowan coming on talking about Billy what is that, Billy Jack Haynes, I guess his name is. Guy was supposed to be a hitman for the Clintons. And he always has some Epstein things to talk about too as well. It's Epstein mania, you know. And then we had good old Diane Diamond come back on the show, thanks to Dan O'Hanks, a really good friend of the show, who brought us Diane Diamond. I was interviewing Dan O'Hanks last week, and he brought me Diane Diamond. He said, "Hey, Big, have you had Diane Diamond on the show? Have her come back." So she has an update to her Michael Jackson book, Be Careful Who You Love. And there's an audible.com audio book update to that book there about all the stuff with Leaving Neverland and stuff like that. Great guest Diane Diamond. I'm very proud of that show. Proud of all the shows this week. I think we had a lot of good content. So name of today's show is what is this thing? What do I call it? I call it my professional involvement in the Trump Epstein Katie Doe rape lawsuit of 2016. Okay. So I've never done a show before where I've been scared. You know, I've done a lot of shows where I was anxious, I was nervous, stuff like that. But this is the first show I've ever done where I actually feel fear. Okay? And for a lot of reasons. Normally, when you're a private investigator, you take a case, you know, you're sworn to secrecy. You don't talk about it. I take those secrets very seriously. I take my client's privacy or confidentiality. I take it very, very seriously. Okay? It's a primary in my concerns. Even when you have a case or a client, it's a criminal defense case or a litigation, you don't take notes. You know, you'll create a report. You know, you're going to issue a final report at the end, and your notes will just be along the line of your report. You know, you'll fill in your report as you go, so that there's no extra notes. That in case you get subpoenaed or there's a problem later on, they can't. The enemy, the other side of the litigation, can't get your notes because you want to maintain your client's privacy. So that's your first instinct as an investigator, okay, to maintain client confidentiality. And in this case, there was an additional requirement of confidentiality above and beyond what I would normally assume, and we would provide it in my retainer, you know, and that the lawyer in this case required me to write up and prepare a non-disclosure agreement with him and sign it. Okay, and I've never had that additional requirement in the case, and I adhere to it religiously. Okay, since 2016, and occasionally I would go back to him and I would say, "Mr. Mayor, can you please release me from the NDA? You know, I'd like to talk about this. I'd like to just put it on my resume. Can you do this? Can I just put it on my resume to talk about this?" And he said, "No, you can't." And then about a year ago, I came to him with another project, with another case, and he helped me out with, and I helped my client out with a referral and things. And I said to him then, I says, "Well, what about, can I say that I worked on a lawsuit against Donald Trump in 2016? He says, "Yes, you can say that, but you can't mention Epstein." So then this week, when all hell has broken loose, and this case has just been broken wide open, I went back to him again. I asked him again, "Mr. Mayor, can you please allow me to," you know, it's customary in this business, you know, when you take a big case, you do it kind of for the publicity, and then you can talk about it and drum up business for the future. And he finally consented. I have limited release from my NDA. I can disclose to you tonight that I was the private investigator in the Katie Doe lawsuit of 2016, where Katie Doe sued Donald Trump and his co-defendant, Jeffrey Epstein, for rape, for teenage rape. Okay, and so what I'm going to try and do for you tonight is tell you what I know, what is real and what is not real, okay, and how I got into this whole thing and where we are today. Because there's a lot of stuff, guys, that has not been reported accurately in the news or the media. And there's a lot of memes going around now and jokes and posts and things like that saying the Miami, they're breaking news. You know, they're reporting stuff that the Opperman report has been talking about since 2013, guys. I looked it up. My first show on this was 2013. And now it's breaking news. We talked about Acosta and all the stuff that came out about it. We talked about that. We talked about Barr as it happened. As soon as the names came up, we talked about it. Hey, and there's a couple of things, too, that aren't being talked about that you can find at OppermanReport.com. Years ago, I uploaded the 23-page letter that Jeffrey Epstein's legal defense team, Jerry Lefcourt mainly, wrote to the prosecution, where they brag about Jeffrey Epstein's such a great guy. In fact, he even helped create the Clinton Foundation. Okay? Now, you are not hearing that reported in the Miami Herald, have you? You know? I tell you, you know, we're joking around. You know, when we say Miami Herald, it's like saying Niagara Falls. You know, I go with it slowly. I turn. You know, I'm really starting to lose it. You know, Miami Herald. So, and also too, John Brissom sent me the full, what's that thing called, a Maximum Golf. Anyway, it's on our special archives. They've both been in the members section, but now we put them in the special archives at OppermanReport.com. You can buy either one for $1.99. You can get the 24-page letter. I've had it exclusively for years. Now you can have it, okay? I paid for it. You can pay for it. I got the Brissom thing for free. If you want to contact Brissom, maybe he'll give it to you for free, but otherwise you got to buy it from me. $1.99 on my website. And that's an article, magazine article, way back. I don't know the date off the top of my head. But this guy embedded himself with Donald Trump, and he's an eyewitness to Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell flying on Trump's plane, and they brought a teenage girl with them. Got an eyewitness to this. This has been out for a long time. This isn't Ed Opperman's work. This is out there. But the Miami Herald hasn't caught on to that yet. Maybe after they listen tonight, they'll cut it. I don't want to be too harsh on the Miami Herald because Julie Brown has one. I've asked her for stuff like that. She sent it to me. She's been very polite and very kind. It would be nice if I get a little credit out there in the mainstream media, but otherwise, maybe after tonight I will. So let me tell you how I got involved in all this, okay? Before 2013, my radio show started in 2013. Before that, I was a nice, quiet, private investigator. Didn't bother anybody. I didn't talk about nothing. I got involved in some big cases involving Charlie Sheen and Tiger Woods and Ashton Kutcher, some big celebrity cases, the Howard Stern show, Sarah Palin and Todd Palin. And I got exposed to the media and the Radar Online and National Enquirer started bugging me for interviews and stuff like that. And I pretty much kept a low profile, but I kept in contact with these guys. And then I wrote a book. And when I wrote the book, I said, you know what? Let me do a radio show. Because I'll promote my book and start doing radio appearances to sell my book. So when I started doing the radio show, I said, well, what do I want to, I want to have a list of guests I want to have on the show. And one of the topics I wanted to have is, I don't know when, like 2009, 2010, I was sitting in a waiting room, maybe a lawyer's waiting room or an accountant or a doctor or something like that. I don't go to the doctor much or a dentist much, so it must have been some kind of professional office. I was sitting there, probably a lawyer's office. Especially back in the old days, lawyers was definitely, they could come down to their office, but now they talk to you on the phone, email and stuff like that. And I found this magazine, and it talked about this guy, this millionaire down in Palm Beach, and he was having these little girls, 3 at a time, come to his house and give massages. And I says, what the hell is it? What a story. And this is all covered up. Nobody knows about this. This is incredible. So when I got the radio show, I said, I want to do a radio show about this. Let me find a guest. I went looking around for a guest. Nobody. I Googled, couldn't even find, first of all, the guy's name. No one knew the name Jeffrey Epstein, man. Are you kidding me? Nobody. Okay? There had been some stuff in British tabloids because he was connected to Prince Andrew, but there was nothing back in those days, man. Minute, nobody knew the name, and there was no radio shows about it because I was looking for a guest to find. I couldn't find anybody. But I saw Robert Morrow had been talking about it. So I contacted him. I brought him on the show. We did a 2-hour show, me and Robert Morrow. He did the first hour talking about Epstein, and then I did the second hour talking about Epstein by myself. Okay. Now, after that, I really started getting into the case. I had Nick Bryan on the show. He had written some stuff about it. He had uploaded those material from the flight logs and the black book and stuff like that. It turns out Dan O'Hanks, our guest that we've had on the show several times, he's the one that actually did that work. He was hired by the British tabloids to obtain all that information. And as a matter of fact, I've been in contact with him recently. He's just sent me a boatload of his files on this case. I haven't even had a chance to click on it and look at it yet, but this will give you an idea of the level of stuff we're doing here. So Dan was the one who actually located Virginia Roberts. The police located them, but he identified them and got them, and that's what instigated and sparked this whole thing of them hiring lawyers and doing all this stuff like that. Dan O'Hanks is a real behind-the-scenes guy in this thing that people should realize. Now, if you remember, I did the show with Robert Morrow, then I was pitching this around. I was trying to get I was really hot and heavy on the Epstein stuff back in those days. And I did shows like Dylan Wade and stuff like that, different internet radio shows. But I had done I did Coast to Coast around that time with George Norrie. I did Jimmy Church. I did John B. Wells. And I was even pitching my show to go on that Art Bell network, the Dark Matters and stuff like that. And when I would try to talk to these guys and say, hey, and I got the screenshots of it. I was just looking at, because I've been contacting these guys lately now too. And I says, hey guys, I want to tell you about the connections between Trump and Epstein, this billionaire, pervert guy, and all this kind of stuff. And after that, nobody really wanted me to on their show anymore. I got all the stuff. I got the pictures. I could show them to you. I actually was the one who created the meme. Okay, the one about Jeff Epstein is a great guy. I've known him for 15 years. He likes beautiful women as much as I do. Many of them on the younger side. That old Jeffrey, he sure loves his social life. Now, that's not quote word for word. But this is during the 2016 election. When I wrote that meme, okay, and I forget who made it for me. It might have been Sean Duff or this other guy that was helping me out at the time. I think his name was King, who made that meme. When I made that meme, no one believed me. They thought I was making it up. And they would say, well, Ed, by the way, too, at the bottom of that meme, I had my old YouTube channel link. And that YouTube got shut down right after that. That channel got destroyed. They shut it down. They never reopened it. I think partially to some stalkers I had, but I also always suspected in the back of my mind, also partially because of that reason too as well. Everyone thought I made that up. You know why they thought I made it up? Because when you Googled the phrase, nothing came up. You had to first Google Vicky Ward, New Yorker magazine, and then put it in. And then you'd get to the front page of the Vicky Ward article, and you have to go look for it. Okay? But it wasn't search engine optimized. You couldn't find that phrase on the internet by searching for it. Then also, too, Pierce Redmond and someone helping him out, doing like a LexisNexis type search, found the caption for the photo of Trump, Epstein, and Andrew York at Mar-a-Lago during a tennis tournament. So we knew we had the caption. We knew the photo existed, but we couldn't find the actual photo. Then Casey Gain McGallo found the actual photo. People said I was lying about the photo and all that. By the way, too, people should know, coincidentally, remember when Trump just visited England and he went to Buckingham Palace and he met with the Queen? He was wearing a kind of ill-fitting tuxedo, and Princess Melania was wearing the hat, trying to look like Princess Di. Did you know he met with Prince Andrew during that trip? A guy who's alleged to be just as dirty and filthy as Jeffrey Epstein. Everybody agrees Jeffrey Epstein's filthy right now, right? Okay. Prince Andrew was doing the exact same things he was doing. At Mar-a-Lago, too, by the way. With a Mar-a-Lago employee, by the way. Okay? So, anyway. You don't see that reported in the news, do you? Miami Herald, you listening? Why don't you mention that? Or maybe they did. Maybe I missed it. I've been kind of busy this week. Okay? So, anyway. I was doing all these reports on the radio basically from 2013 to 2015. And I was emphasizing the connections between Trump and Epstein, because to me they were obvious. The first victim was an employee, a little girl worked at Mar-a-Lago. Suspicious circumstances about her family coming into a large sum of money. Father being able to buy a horse ranch. How many maintenance workers can buy a horse ranch when they retire? So definitely, there was settlements going on here. I saw it. I can read the handwriting on the wall. I was doing shows about this in 2015. I was contacted. What happened was, first was, one day I saw there was a lawsuit from a woman named Katie Doe against Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. They were co-defendants in this lawsuit. She was the plaintiff. And she alleged that when she was 13, 14 years old, they raped her. And they made threats about another girl named Maria. Okay. And people are very familiar with this lawsuit now. And all the documents are all over the news. And the first one she had filed herself. She did it pro se. She filed the paperwork herself with the help of this guy who was involved. He was like a tabloid broker kind of guy, who was helping her out. So these two were out on their own there. They didn't have any professional legal assistance. Okay, and I don't know why, they didn't. But they filed that suit, and it was dismissed because there were legal errors in the filing of it. And she had put her cell phone number on there, too, as well. And I remember me and William Ramsey were chatting about this one day, and we both called it up, and it was disconnected by the time we called. But I had heard later on that she received many threats on that phone call. So they were discussions about this on some gossip website, okay? I have all this documented someplace, okay? But this has been a long week, too, and it's been a long time, all this. And I am a little nervous about this, talking about this. Because you got to understand, when I took the... We'll get into it. There's some discussion about this on a gossip website. And somehow they were connected up to Tom Mayer, who said, hey, I'll take the case for you. Okay, I'm going to take this case for you. He started looking into it. Now, Tom Mayer is a patent attorney from New Jersey. Very good attorney. Excellent attorney. Nice guy. I like him. But this is not his field of expertise, okay? And he was looking around. He found my radio show talking about this, because I'm pretty much at that time, too, 2015. I was one of the only... This wasn't before Epstein mania went crazy, okay, in the past couple of years, when then everybody's connected to everything. Oh, look at the flight logs. Look at the tail numbers on a plane. They match other tail numbers on the plane. Oh, all this craziness. Someone sent me this thing, 99 holistic doctors murdered, connected to, guys, you got to take it easy. There's a lot of hysteria in this. There's a lot of reality, but there's a lot of hysteria going on here. You got to take a deep breath and relax. So Mayer had never hired a private investigator before either, okay, but he hired me. I was the first one that he brought in. We discussed some things, and it was discussed that he needed co-counsel who had a more expertise in this field, and I tried to bring in co-counsel who was more familiar with this area, okay, of handling these kind of cases. Someone who I know is very professional, who's handled many of these types of cases. Okay, now for whatever reason, I don't know. I don't stick my nose in, by the way, to a lot of things. Okay, I don't stick my nose until someone asks me to stick my nose into something. I don't go offering people advice. I don't go injecting myself into things. Okay, I made the introduction. Whatever they discussed. I don't know. I never asked about it. It's none of my business. It's not my place to be asking that. I'm an employee in these kind of situations. Okay? Now, that whole situation opens up a whole other great untold story, okay, that I still can't tell you yet. I'm working on ways to get that part of it out, okay, and hopefully one day, because it's a great untold portion of this story that no one really knows but me and a couple of people, that would again be headline news. Okay, the connections and maybe some people can figure it out. I've kind of hinted around about these kind of things. By the way, I've been hinted around that this is my case for years. Every time I talk about how many socks do I have in my sock drawer in the other room, I've been talking about this. People have been trying to, argue online with people, and I tell them, hey, listen, man, there's a legitimate suit here. Oh, this girl was raped against Trump and Epstein. And people would say, oh, no, Ed, read this article. Oh, Ed, when someone would say there, I dove deep on that case. She says, I dove deep on that one back in 2016, and there's nothing to it. Well, if you dove so damn deep, you would know that I'm the guy who was on the case. You would know. If my name didn't come up in your deep dive, you didn't dive deep enough, and you should have stayed on the beach instead of diving. You got no business diving. How's that? This is the most frustrating thing I've ever been involved in. Okay, all these people coming to me and arguing with me about this case like they're an expert, and then they want to send me a news article. Well, Ed, let me. It's my case, dude. Okay, this is the work I woke up and did today, and you want to send me an article that doesn't even mention me, doesn't even know what's going on. And by the way, too, guys, I got to tell you, there's a lot of disinformation around this case. A lot of those articles are distortion articles. They're disinformation articles. Okay. And there's a lot of information in this stuff that's all disinformation. Okay. Now, the case was very compartmentalized. Okay? And I can't describe exactly what my tasks that I performed were, but I will say to this that I went to extremes in this case, okay? And for very little financial compensation. And I went right up to the line, a little bit past the line, in what I had to do in this case to obtain information and things like that. Now, the case progressed, and my client who hired me turned the case over to Lisa Bloom. Now, Lisa Bloom took over this case, and again, I don't stick my nose in. I'm not 100% sure what happened there, that I can speak out about it. But she had taken over the case to a point where she was actually going to hold a press conference, a live stream press conference with Katie Doe in front of the news. And what happened was, and this was just a few days before the election, and what happened was her website, Lisa Bloom's website, came under a DDoS attack, a dedicated denial of service attack, where her website was shut down. You couldn't even click on it and get to it. But also, too, the live stream website came under attack, too, as well. Now, it was my impression at the time, from information that I had at the time, that this was such a large attack. This is much bigger than a bunch of 4chan guys could organize together and get together and do. It was much bigger than Anonymous or something like that could put together and do. I believe then, and I believe now, it was a state-sponsored attack against these websites to shut them down. Now, I've always used that as corroboration of the Steele report, where they talked about how Trump was in contact with these Russian farms and porn sites that they could redirect porn traffic to a site. But I always suspected that was confirmation of that these were Russians. This is a Russian bot farm that went after this and created this DDoS attack. But now I'm not so sure. Now I think it could have been the Israeli Mossad, or is the state-sponsored organization that went down, that took down those sites. Or it could have been U.S. intelligence too as well. Okay, because we just saw Vicky Ward blurt out during an appearance on MSNBC the other day. I was sat here with my mouth hanging open. That she actually said that she was told that Acosta said that he had to lay off of Epstein because he's sponsored by an intelligence agency. Okay, I don't have the exact quote in front of me, but you can look it up. And I've seen other indications of this as well in my own life. In my reporting on this, I did an interview with Conchita Sarnoff, who wrote the book Trafficking, and her book was kind of a whitewash, in my opinion, of many. She was friends with Epstein. She was friends with Trump. She was friends with Maxwell. She said she didn't know anything was going on, never suspected anything, but she wrote this book. She has her own charity type organization she's running to, and people, you can look at that yourself and see what you think of it. But her publisher is a famous Mossad agent, Viktor Ostrovsky, and you can look him up. And his specialty in the Mossad was using deception. He wrote a book about it. And he's her publisher. You can go out and find a lot of publishers out there. I guess you find someone who's a friend of yours, someone you know, whatever. And that's how I would do it. I would go to Chris Milligan at Shrine Day if I wanted to publish a book. If I didn't want to self-publish it. But she went to Viktor Ostrovsky, who specializes in deception and publishing books. And Viktor Ostrovsky called me on the phone. So I've had contact with the Mossad over this story and this case and other incidents. Let me take a little commercial break here, okay? And I hope I'm making sense. I hope I'm getting this out to you here, because this is serious business, and I want to make sure. Come on. Okay, let's just get started. We'll be right back after these messages. And now a word from our sponsors. AlmightyGold.com. Get your gold in affordable quantities. 1 gram, 2.5 grams, 5 grams, no minimum purchase required. Why save in paper when you can save in gold? AlmightyGold.com understands it's difficult to afford gold in large quantities. No one can afford an ounce of gold. This is why Almighty Gold has introduced to you Carat Bars, a most reliable company where you can buy gold in minor quantities from as little as 1/10 of a gram. That's like $6. Each gold bar is inset into the Carat Bar frame, which is a standard credit card size, and it's covered by a safety laminate. It's imprinted with a unique DNA for counterfeit protection and provided with a blacklight authenticity signature on the front. Gold, AlmightyGold.com. They have a cryptocurrency backed in gold, and you can become an affiliate at AlmightyGold.com and make a commission from any gold that is purchased from your affiliate link. It's contact us at AlmightyGold.com. That's their email address. Contact us at AlmightyGold.com. gold. Have you ever thought about opening your own mobile cart or kiosk business? Maybe add new point-of-sale locations across the country quickly, or bring in revenue by adding coffee, food, or retail services to your office building, warehouse, or lobby? CartKing.com is the answer to your needs. CartKing.com is a North American designer and manufacturer of the finest mobile retail, coffee, food carts, and kiosks that money can buy. For 20 years, CartKing.com has been working with clients across America to provide indoor and outdoor carts and kiosks for any application. That's www.cart-king.com. Give them a call at 877-986-7771. Tell them Ed Opperman sent you. So you go to the website, cartking.com, you check out their different designs and models. You pick out which design applies to your business. They'll custom design it for you, custom build it for you, and ship it worldwide. cartking.com. PureSoapFlakes.com. 218-568-2525. Have you ever heard of Castile Soap? Pure Soap Flake Company handcrafts fine soap bars, laundry powder, and concentrated soap flakes using organic vegetable oils from their northern Minnesota facility. Bathe your body and wash your clothes with pure soap products that are free of fragrance, GMOs, palm oil, sodium lauryl sulfate, and synthetic additives. Keep it clean, folks. Pure Soap Flake Company products are kind to living creatures and sensitive skin, safe for drains and waterways, and work great in high-efficiency washers and top and front-loading machines. Order today at puresoapflakes.com, greenhome.com, amazon.com, or give them a call, 218-568-2525, 218-568-2525. Pure Soap Flake Company is a proud member of the Handcrafted Soap and Cosmetic Guild.
It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome back to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. And tonight, I'm revealing for the first time that my involvement as a private investigator, that I was retained to work on the plaintiff's case for the plaintiff Katie Doe against the co-defendants Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein in 2016. June of 2016 to be exact, And you know, people can go back and around that time and listen to some shows I did about different topics and things. I let a lot of clues out there, not just about that, but other things too as well. And if you want to try and piece everything together, you can go back to my old Spreaker channel, Spreaker Opperman Report, Spreaker.com Opperman Report, and look at the old archives and try and find those dates, and you can find a lot more clues, things that I still can't tell you. And we left off, I was telling you, I was kind of going off on a rant in different directions, but we left off that about the DDoS attack on Lisa Bloom. And this is why that lawsuit was dropped, because Katie Doe became so terrified over that attack, because like I said, it appeared to be a state level attack, that she just said, I'm getting the hell out of here. I don't want anything to do with this anymore. And they never had the press conference, and they never did it. And then I just happened to be driving in the car after the election when Donald Trump won, and I'm listening to Sean Hannity, and he was talking to someone. I think it was Corey Lewandowski, or someone like that, someone, just as sleazy as him. And he goes, "Boy, we dodged a bullet this week. Epstein." So Sean Hannity was well aware of the whole Epstein. I wonder what he says today. I haven't watched the show lately, but I wonder what he says today now that Epstein's 24-hour news. I wonder what he says now. But I heard what he said that night. And he knew that Katie Doe had a bullet aimed at Donald Trump there, figuratively, metaphorically. And that had that press conference come out, had it not been shut down, that perhaps the election would have turned out differently, with some kind of state-sponsored help, in my opinion, in my estimation. So, you got to understand a lot of what's been reported in the media about this, in the mainstream media, okay, that people turn to for links, that then they want to argue back and forth, and they show you this stuff, and they say, well, this is what really went on down there, Ed. Let me tell you what really happened. I can tell you firsthand from being involved, a lot of that stuff is nonsense. It's crap. Now, I know a lot of people, the first thing they want to ask me is, well, Ed, what do you think? Okay, Ed, you've been talking for 30 minutes. Well, what do you think? Do you believe Katie Doe? Do you really think Donald Trump is a rapist? Do you think Jeffrey Epstein's a convicted rapist? Now, if you look over the years, I've had a lot of guests on my show that kind of corroborate what this kid says in her statement there in his lawsuit. That they too were perved on by Trump when they were 15 years old. I talk about his friendship with Casablancas, who was notorious, his friendship with Jean-Luc Brunel, all this stuff, Trump modeling agency importing 12-year-old models. I've been talking about this guys for years and years and years. But Ed, do you believe these people in this lawsuit? Well, I was tasked to confirm their information. Was one of the things I was tasked to do. Okay, and when I took this case, okay, I looked things over, and I saw enough information to bring in a friend of mine who is a very well-respected attorney that I have to be concerned about my reputation with him. I can't bring him nonsense. I can't bring him foolishness. Otherwise, he's not going to take my calls next week. And when he's in trouble and he needs a PI, he's not going to call me. He's going to say, Ed is not a serious man. Ed is not a serious character. I can't treat him seriously. I can't take Ed Opperman seriously. Now, I don't want that reputation. So when I reviewed this case, and I took it to the best lawyer I know. Well, not the best lawyer, but the best lawyer in this area that I know. Okay, because I got to say, the best lawyer I've ever known is Rich LaRose. God rest his soul and let him rest in peace, man. Best lawyer I've ever had in my life. But I got to tell you, man, the guys I'm talking about right now, I'm thinking of is up there. Okay? In a different way, upper than there. Okay? Better in many ways. You know? As a matter of fact, I went to Rich with a thing once, and he started screaming at me. Don't get involved with that. But this other guy said, oh, yeah, let's do it. So anyway, if I reviewed the case and I took it, I had enough faith in it to bring in a very respected, high-powered, high-profile attorney. Lisa Bloom came in, too. And people say, oh, Lisa Bloom's taking it. That's not how things work in real life, guys. Okay? You don't throw away your reputation for no reason. And he was willing to take the case. So I was willing to present it to him, and he was willing to take it. And if this was someone coming to me off the street that I wasn't hired by an attorney and I was reviewing this case, I took it serious enough that I would take it to an attorney. It's not something I would dismiss. A lot of people come to me with cases, I dismiss them. I say, there's nothing there, sorry. Okay? Or, you can just kind of tell, the client's just, there's no credibility there. There's nothing to verify this. In this case, there were two other witnesses at the time that she talked to about this, that knew about what happened at the time. Okay, people don't forget that. You don't just, people don't just come out to lawsuits and say, yeah, I'll lie for you. Okay? Not in something this big. It just doesn't happen that way. So, okay. So do I think it's real? I think it's real, guys. Okay? I think it's real. And if I didn't think it's real, I also wouldn't have been talking about this in that same manner. I wouldn't be trying to confirm it with other live witnesses, okay, for the past 5 years. That's how real I think it is, and I'm privy to the facts. Okay, and the people involved. Okay. Oh boy. Oh yeah, here's a good thing for you. I'm exhausted right now. I have no idea. This is unloading. This feels. I'm no longer scared, but it feels really good to be unloading this. Now, I was talking before about the Mossad and disinfo articles and hit pieces and stuff like that. You got to understand too now. Acosta years ago wrote a 3-page letter. That was published, where he claims, oh my goodness, you have no idea how the defense and this, they were investigating me and they were following me around, they were looking for dirt, they were contacting my family, and that's why we made the sweetheart deal for Mr. Epstein. Well, the same people who publicized that and all that are the same people, the Mossad people, who contacted me. Okay? So what's his name? Acosta used these Mossad characters as his press agent. You go to your friends. if I want to release something right now when I'm doing this show tonight on Facebook, I tagged a bunch of people I respect: Mark Ebner and Daniel Hopsicker and John Barber and John Potash, guys I respect, William Ramsey. Oh, by the way, William Ramsey's aware of a lot of this. Okay, yeah. When I first got hired, when I first came to me to be hired, I right away, I wasn't hired yet. I didn't know there was going to be this extreme NDA, and I told William Ramsey, I said, "Hey, look at this, man." So if anybody wants to check this out, he knows about this way back when it was going on, even before I got hired. Once I was hired, we didn't discuss it. Ramsey's a very ethical, respectable guy too, as well, that I would put up there too, as well, as far as attorneys go. Now, also, when you hear these things about Pedophile Island and Lolita Express, did you notice today, Mr. Trump, when he was doing his press conference there with the helicopters in the background giving everybody a headache, right away, I never flew on the plane. I never went to the island. Right? Guys, that is not only is that huge distraction, disinfo, or what kind of like look at this shiny object over here, this plane and this island. Look over here. Look, quick, look here. Don't look back there. Don't look to Palm Beach. Don't look to New York City. Look over here. It's a plane and an island. Like all these crimes took place on a plane and an island. That couldn't be further from the truth. Listen, and all this stuff about this being this big, giant ring all around the world. Epstein is a billionaire. He's a perverted guy. But he was going after kids in his own neighborhood, both in Palm Beach and his own neighborhood there in Manhattan. Okay, the crimes took place in Florida and Manhattan. Even in this last litigation, the defamation suit, I believe it's a defamation suit. There's so much litigation in this, you can't keep track of it anymore. I don't care if you're a law firm, you can't keep track of it. I don't care who you are. But I believe it's the last one where Virginia Roberts Giuffre sues Dershowitz. They actually put a map. They put an image in their motion that shows the flight. And they shows that the hubs were in New York and Palm Beach, Florida. Yeah, there were trips to the island, but that's not where the hub of all this activity was. Then they show this in a picture because everyone's down on the island and talking about the island and Pedo Island and the plane, Lolita Express. Oh, what a catchy phrase. Why do you think they made those catchy phrases, Pedo Island and Lolita Express? To distract you, man, to send you down a bunny trail. Wake up. The crimes are in New York and Florida. Right around his house. He's picking girls from the school around his house. He's picking girls from the school down in Florida. But I'm not saying that it wasn't an elaborate operation, because it was. He had access to the school records down there in Palm Beach, Florida. They found it in the search warrant. He had their school transcripts. He had enough power and influence down there to go to the Board of Education. He had somebody in the Board of Education. Who knows? It was a big operation. He knows Dershowitz. He's given $30 million to Harvard. He's involved with Evelyn Rothschild. Dershowitz says, "Oh, I met Jeffrey Epstein at a party at Evelyn Rothschild's house." So he knows the big guys. He knows the presidents, Baruch from Israel, and president of Colombia. Yeah, okay, he knows these guys, and Branson, these other billionaires. He knows Trump, Clinton, and Clinton's wife. Clinton's daughter. He didn't know all these people. Maxwell went to Clinton's daughter's wedding. Did the Miami Herald report that? I don't know. I don't keep up with what they're doing over there. I can only keep up with what I'm doing. And they're barely keeping up with what I'm doing. In reality, guys. So that's all, man. The alt media who thinks they're on this and sort of following all the clues here and there. A lot of these clues they're sending you, man, they're crap, they're garbage. The stuff you guys are talking about, these tail numbers and stuff like that, all that crap. I did a whole show about exposing that nut, okay? They tried to get me to promote that thing before they sent it out, and then they tried to hire me. The guy's a nut. Disinfo. Stay away from it. All that stuff is crap. None of the people actually involved in this, none of the plaintiffs, none of the witnesses, none of the lawyers, none of the investigators, the paralegals, nobody believes any of that crap, is aware of any of that nonsense people are talking about. All these there's a connection to 99 holistic doctors killed. That's a bunch of crap, guys. It's distraction. It's disinfo. You got to focus. Gotta focus, otherwise we lose the trail. And another thing too. Okay. I've had people on this show, and I didn't tell them, hey, listen, this is my case. Okay. You know, I didn't tell them that. But I'm listening to things they're saying, and I know that it's inaccurate. Okay? And I'm just, when you're an investigator, a real investigator in real life, not a YouTube investigator or a 4chan investigator or one of those Twitter investigators like certain characters I've been dealing with lately. When you're a real investigator in real life, right, you're taking somebody's statement, and you're taking down what they're saying to you. You don't stop them and say, hey, you're lying. Okay? Because you don't want to tip your hand. You want to take down everything the guy's saying. Let him wrap that noose around his neck. Let him wrap it 3, 4, 5 times and tie a little knot on himself. Okay? And then you tuck that away. And you take it to court, you get him on a stand, and when in reality, and now you cross-examine a guy, you got him. You don't argue with a guy, okay, in a radio interview, because he's going to say, well, he's going to argue back, and people hear two people arguing, they don't know what. You let him talk, man. You let him talk. All right? You take his statement, you let him talk, and then down the road, people can see what's the truth and what's not the truth. Everything in this case is documented, man. Everything on my show is documented. You can go back and look at different shows. Okay, so and I've had not a lot, but I've had a couple of times people on the show talk about this stuff, and they don't know what they're talking about. I go, okay, oh, really, what happened next? Okay, that's how you do it, man. That's how I was taught to do it. Maybe someone knows, maybe one of you Twitter guys can tell me how to do it. So, another thing, too, it's not like it's a secret for people who are involved in this case that I was involved. The Miami Herald has to know I was involved. I don't want to beat on them too much, okay, because I can understand. Maybe there seems to be a little direction going on with that. You know, they're being directed in what they're doing, and directed here and directed away from that. But for whatever reason, they've never contacted me to ask me what I know, which is curious to me when people involved in the case are contacting me to find out what I know. If people are involved are contacting me to know what I know, then it would seem that they would want to contact me to see if I know anything. Other people, other publications and authors and columnists at this level of thing, the Me Too movement and other things, contact me. Why? How come in this case they're not? Okay, maybe my ego. I don't know. Maybe it is my ego. Maybe it's my ego. Well, let's write it off to my ego. But I'm suspicious. I'll tell you that. The other day, I'm talking to Epstein's former partner, that guy, what's his name? Hoffenberg. Talking to him, right? And this guy knows some stuff. This is the guy with the Ponzi scheme and all that. He knows some stuff. Now, he tells me that Deutsche Bank is going to cut off Epstein. We knew this before the New York Times knew it. Okay? And we know before the Miami Herald knew it. Miami Herald could have called me up that night and asked me. I would have told him, because I knew. I've been so frustrated. I got to tell you, I've been so frustrated for the past 4 years. It feels so good to get this off my chest, and it's it's debatable too. Because listen, there's little tricks you can do in the PI business when you want to get something out there in the news. What you do, you can sue the client, you can sue somebody, and you put it out there and you press release it, and then it's out there, and no one says you're a bad guy. You ratted people out. You violated your confidentiality. There's ways to do that. People do it all the time. Anytime you see a PI sue his client and then it gets in the news, it's because he wants that in the news. He wants it out there in the public that he worked on that case. It happens all the time, And I could have done that, but then I thought about it and I said, you know what? Do I really want Trump knowing me? Do I really want Epstein coming after me more than they are now already? Because I've had some real serious crap happen to me over this, man. I've really worked my fingers to the bone over this, man, for the past 5 years, and I've had personal repercussions over this. I don't want to go into it because I don't need the extra headache and the extra hassle. But real stuff, not hang up calls and threats and my Skype's not working. I'm talking about real life problems. Where are we? Oh, I can also tell you this. All right, guys, and maybe this is breaking some kind of confidentiality. Ted, give me a break, man. Okay, we'll talk to you later. Okay. Ted Rubenstein, I love him, man, but the guy messages me during the show. I love you, Ted. I really do. But I thank Ted for helping me out with a bunch of guests, too, and doing some work for me with Dave Emery. We're going to have Dave Emery come on soon as well, too. We have that to look forward to. A lot of good stuff. Hoffenberg was going to come on as a guest. I dropped the ball. He can't come on now because now he's a witness in this whole stuff here. He can't come on now, but he's still willing to talk to me off the air. And maybe we're going to work something out. We're going to do limited questions. But I could have had him on as a guest a week ago. I dropped the ball. I've been working on this TV deal, and then and my mind's been distracted and misfocused and angry and hostile, and losing my temper with people who are very nice young men. Hey, God, take me away. The last thing that I want to get out here that's very important, okay, if people will let me, is the Mueller investigation, okay? Guys, I know for a fact that nobody involved in this, pretty serious charges, Trump, Epstein, rape, 13-year-old lawsuits, nobody's been contacted by the Mueller investigation about this. Remember I was telling you that I've been saying that over and over, that I know that? I know that. Because I've asked around. No one's been contacted by Mueller to look into any of this. It's just untouched. It's a place where they don't want to go for whatever reason. You're the experts, right? You guys can tell me why. Because I got so many experts out there telling me how many socks I got in my sock drawer. You know? That's my report for you tonight. Okay? I feel a great weight lifted off my shoulder. I'm starting to feel scared again. I might have to go out and get some potato juice. I'm trying not to. I'm trying to get back in shape, but I'm a little nervous. And now that this is out there, and I hope, I don't know. On the one hand, it's just been so frustrating not to be able to say this. On the other hand, I don't see any big favors coming to my way by saying this, by telling you. Okay, if you want to throw me some love, okay, you can go to my daughter's GoFundMe. Help Victoria Opperman get to college. My daughter, who, by the way, is one of the only people I've talked to about this too as well. There's very few people you can confide in this kind of thing, other PIs. But, and even in a case this big, when you need some help from another PI, you can't tell them the details of it. You compartmentalize it, So there's very, very few people who are aware of this case that was involved in. It's pretty much just people, my pastor, my lawyer, and my daughter, So she's been through hell too and back. So if you want to support her, she's trying to get into college, really good college in Washington, D.C. And this may not help her career either. And we do need support. I'd like to get her some driving lessons before she goes. We've only got about 30 or 40 days. And thanks to the support of cart-king.com, our sponsor, who paid us a year in advance, we've made a huge dent in our GoFundMe, our college expenses. But we are still a little bit short. And those little things that we need, like the books, it's little stuff, the blankets for the bed and the, meal plan and all that kind of stuff, and we've got a ton of loans. So, I have worked for you guys on this case for free since 2013. Brought you information that now is breaking news by the Miami Herald. The people at the Miami Herald working on this, they're all getting paid for it, So I would ask you to, if you love me, you love my show, that you help out my kid, help Victoria Opperman get to college. GoFundMe, just Google that, it'll come right up. And, $5, $10, okay? Now, guys, I want to thank you so much and wish you good night. You can check out, there's more content in the Opperman Report. Oh, my God. I'm reading a comment here, complete idiot. If you want more exclusive content, you can go to OppermanReport.com. There's over 200 shows in there. There's that 23-page letter about the Clinton Foundation. And there's also that Golf Magazine article in there, the original one that talks about Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell bringing... there's all kinds of stuff, all kinds of Epstein documents in there, too. There used to be a video in there, too, of the search warrant execution. I'm hearing now that it's been... deleted, taken down or something like that. But I can get another copy of that too. But there's over 200 exclusive shows in there you can't find anywhere else. And that's what supports the show. It's that member section. So what you can do is you can email me directly at oppermanreport@gmail.com, and I'll give you a discount. I'll give you 13 months for $65. Otherwise, you can go to the website directly and sign up there. Also, too, what was I going to say? It's Spreaker. If you want to look at all my archives on this, because I've been talking about this for years and years and years, just Google Opperman, Trump, Epstein, Spreaker, and you'll find 20 shows. But also, too, you just go through them and you'll see about the models I've had, teen models I've had that were hit on by Trump when they were teenagers. Several of them. Michael Gross, New York Times writer who was an eyewitness to these parties with these teen models and stuff. Shows I've done about John Casablancas and his friendship with Trump. So there you go, guys. Have a good night. Thank you so much. And now you can kind of understand why I've been so angry and frustrated over the past few years over this. So thank you so much, guys. Good night. And now a word from our sponsors. AlmightyGold.com. Get your gold in affordable quantities. 1 gram, 2.5 grams, 5 grams, no minimum purchase required. Why save in paper when you can save in gold? AlmightyGold.com understands it's difficult to afford gold in large quantities. No one can afford an ounce of gold. This is why Almighty Gold has introduced to you Carat Bars, a most reliable company where you can buy gold in minor quantities from as little as 1/10 of a gram. That's like $6. Each gold bar is inset into the Carat Bar frame, which is a standard credit card size, and it's covered by a safety laminate. It's imprinted with a unique DNA for counterfeit protection and provided with a blacklight authenticity signature on the front. Gold, AlmightyGold.com. They have a cryptocurrency backed in gold, and you can become an affiliate at AlmightyGold.com and make a commission from any gold that is purchased from your affiliate link. It's contact us at almightygold.com. That's their email address. Contact us at almightygold.com. Gold! Have you ever thought about opening your own mobile cart or kiosk business? Maybe add new point-of-sale locations across the country quickly, or bring in revenue by adding coffee, food, or retail services to your office building, warehouse, or lobby? CartKing.com is the answer to your needs. CartKing.com is a North American designer and manufacturer of the finest mobile retail, coffee, food, carts, and kiosks that money can buy. For 20 years, CartKing.com has been working with clients across America to provide indoor and outdoor carts and kiosks for any application. That's www.cart-king.com. Give them a call at 877-986-7771. Tell them Ed Opperman sent you. So you go to the website, CartKing.com, you check out their different designs and models. You pick out which design applies to your business. They'll custom design it for you, custom build it for you, and ship it worldwide. CartKing.com. PureSoapFlakes.com. 218-568-2525. Have you ever heard of Castile Soap? Pure Soap Flake Company handcrafts fine soap bars, laundry powder, and concentrated soap flakes using organic vegetable oils from their northern Minnesota facility. Bathe your body and wash your clothes with pure soap products that are free of fragrance, GMOs, palm oil, sodium lauryl sulfate, and synthetic additives. Keep it clean, folks. Pure Soap Flake Company products are kind to living creatures and sensitive skin, safe for drains and waterways, and work great in high-efficiency washers and top and front-loading machines. Order today at puresoapflakes.com, greenhome.com, amazon.com, or give them a call, 218-568-2525, 218-568-2525. Pure Soap Flake Company is a proud member of the Handcrafted Soap and Cosmetic Guild.
It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.